Hello, people. Welcome in. Welcome in. Just going to get it all set up here, and we'll be starting any second soon. All right. Welcome on in. We're just to let a few people join in, but before I do, if you guys have seen the Instagram post, you know who I've got on today's show. So as always, if you've got any questions, line them up. I'll write down as many as I can as we go along. But yeah, we'll wait for a few more people to join in, then we get started.
Yep. Kicking off the Saturday right. Well, it's
Exactly.
the evening for you. It's the
Yes,
afternoon
yeah.
for me.
I've had it. Yeah, busy Saturday for me, so it's all good. All right, we'll give it another minute. Let those people roll in. Just let those notifications go around.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I hope you're all doing well and just staying safe, staying indoors, all that good stuff. All right, we get started then. Welcome everybody to the Quarantine Zone. The Quarantine Zone is my daily live show every day at 6 p.m. British Summer Time. And the idea of the show is if you're indoors on lockdown and you're feeling lonely and anxious because of the isolation or social distancing, whatever you want to call it, it's an hour of escapism, a way to hear about somebody's story. And yeah, each and every day I am joined by a different person. And today it's somebody that I've wanted to have a chat to for a while and somebody that is very inspirational themselves. So yeah, today on the show I've got Garrison. So welcome, Garrison.
What's
Uh,
up? What's up? Welcome to the show. I'm glad to be on this show right now.
yeah, it's awesome to have you here. So before we get underway, if you guys are joining on from Garrison's Instagram, my name is Ben. I'm a quadriplegic personal trainer, and I do lots of online fitness videos for disabled people, and that's all through Adapt to Perform. So, and you can read it here, Adapt to Perform. So yeah, if you guys want to check it out, go check out that. But yeah, if you guys don't know who Garrison is and you're coming in from my Instagram, I'll let you introduce yourself.
I'm Garrison. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I'm a Team USA para powerlifter. Also, I'm the founder of the Garrison Red Project, which helps individuals with disabilities attain the necessary equipment they need to succeed. As well as I'm a dancer, a model. I'm pretty much a jack of all trades. I'm a motivational speaker. I did a TED Talk. So I do a little bit of everything just to spread awareness about the disabled community.
Yeah, and if you guys have seen Garrison before, you can see he's a busy man and he's doing lots of different things in lots of different areas, and he's a really important person in the disabled community, especially in his hometown and doing things there. So yeah, it's great to have you on. So we'll dive into a lot more of those things later on, and if you've got any questions about anything as we go along the way, just pop them in the chat. I said I'll write them down as we go along. So yeah, let's get started into a bit about your life in the past and that. So, do you want to talk about, well, we like to refer it on the show as our previous life as such. So, do
Yeah.
you want to talk about that?
Well, I had an awesome and a pretty amazing childhood. I actually got injured at 17 years old. So, leading up to my injury, I played tons of sports. I played football, basketball, baseball. I actually excelled at football. Prior to my injury, I was six in New York City and rushing as a running back for James Madison High School. Straight A student. And on a random summer night, somebody came and started shooting on the street that I lived on, and I was one struck with the bullet. Um, However, I didn't let that change me. I didn't let that discourage me because I knew that if something bad could happen to someone that was just so positive and did so much good things, then something great is bound to happen. So that's what brought me here today,
Yeah,
connecting
it's
with other individuals and, just trying to spread awareness.
yeah, it's awesome what you're doing. So with your life, you say you obviously getting injured at 17, a similar age to when I was injured myself. What sort of was your aspirations in life at that point? Is there something that you were like, I want to do? Were you trying to become pro in football, or did you want to be
Yeah,
more academic? So yeah.
actually, prior to my injury, all I thought about was playing in the NFL. So, and buying my mother a big house. However, things happen for a reason. So if I would have, played in the NFL, I would have been motivating and maybe inspiring people on a national level due to the fact that it's an American sport.
Hmm.
However, now I look back as a Team USA powerlifter, and I can inspire individuals worldwide, which is much bigger range.
Yeah, so it's a good way to look at it, really. Yeah, you can inspire people on a whole different level and reach different corners of the world. So with your accident and that, what was it like in the early days afterwards? Like, what was, when you first had it, what were your thoughts and feelings going through that time?
Well, initially, I was like devastated, of course, because my whole life was pretty much predicated on me using my legs. And when that was taken away from me, it crushed me momentarily. However, early on in my injury, I had a few key moments. Like one moment was my mom, she basically told me like, nobody's going to feel sorry for me. Nobody's going to have sympathy for me. And I still have to live my life. I'm a young man. I have to live my life. I have to go off to college and I have to become something in this world. And that was one of the turning points. And then the doctor came to me about a week in and she's like, you don't have to be the player. You could be the coach. And I'm like, the coach? I never thought about being an NFL coach because that's just not something that anybody wants to aspire to be when you're a football player. But however, you think about it on another level, like there's 52 players on an NFL team, but there's one head coach. And if you're a leader is definitely more important than just being just another player. So
Yeah.
when I thought about from that perspective, it changed my outlook on my injury. And then going through rehab, since I was in pediatric rehab, I was basically going through rehabilitation with younger children who never had the use of their legs and who was always smiling, or they might have had stage 4 cancer, but they always kept a smile on their face. And then like one of my roommates was like actually a quad. And to see him learning just how to brush his teeth inspired me to get out of my funk because I knew like, if he's just want to brush his teeth and I still have the use of my arms fully, dexterity in my fingers, what I'm going to be ashamed about? I got my whole life. I could do things. And that's how I thought about it. Like I said, I still can, accomplish whatever I wanted to accomplish. And I just got to go about it a different way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's always good to see the positive in it. And yeah, I did a video recently on my YouTube channel saying about like trying to find the positive in any situation, no matter how negative it is. It's so helpful. It's what gets you through. Focusing on that positivity. So it's awesome to hear that you are doing that too.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'll start to learn things, like learn how to adapt, which is one of the main keys. And now I look back, now that I'm 31, I look back because that was about 15, going on 15 years now. And it was just a learning experience. Like in the last 15 years, I learned so much that made me a better individual and a better person. And I'm at the point in life now where like I feel I could do anything because I feel as if I overcame my injury. Like this is nothing for me now.
Yeah, yeah. It's amazing what being disabled teaches you and how you learn things along the way that make you so adaptable to other situations. Like just be able to just like your mindset changes in a way that you feel like you can do loads of different things that you wouldn't even do previous to being disabled as well, which is quite cool actually. It's quite
Yeah, it's pretty cool. That's definitely pretty cool. And another thing is like when I went to school, everybody accepted me. Like when I was injured at 17, I graduated high school. I was still in rehabilitation center when I graduated, but I went off to college, and that was like my real first time in my life being in a social arena with a wheelchair. And it was fine. Like everybody treated me normal. Like it wasn't any type of discrimination or people people was very welcoming, which was shocking to me. And like I started meeting friends, and from there, I guess my personality, people gravitated towards me anyway. And like my friends would hit me up like late at night, like 11 o'clock, like we should go to the club. I'm like, we got school tomorrow. And they're like, nah, I can't go to the club if you don't go to the club. And it's like, the kid in the wheelchair is like
Yeah.
became like the coolest person on campus. So it's pretty amazing when I look back.
That's really good that they had that attitude. Yeah, because we've had some people on the show before, and they were saying about when they had their injuries. I guess at that sort of college age, people are a little bit more accepting of other people. But yeah, they were saying when they were kids, it can be quite tough, because they don't have this sort of understanding and knowledge, which is something that you talked about before, like having the knowledge of disabled people, or as you call it,
Yeah.
able.
Able
But
with limitations.
that's it. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I feel like being disabled is a state of mind.
Mm,
And if you put yourself in that mindset all the time that you're disabled, it's more as like you can't do something. And what I've learned is that anybody could do anything in the world. Like, I know you had another guest up there, Cole Cinder,
mm,
and Cole does everything. Like, there's nothing he doesn't do. And it's like, he's able. Everybody's able. I'm able. You're able. We could do
mm.
anything else. And it's not like people just think, due to the lack of knowledge, that because you're in a wheelchair, you're incapable of doing anything. And that's totally not the case.
Yeah, no, the opportunities are endless, it's definitely.
Yeah.
So moving on through like post injury, obviously, I whenever I go to like a big city, especially like London in the UK, it can be quite tough getting around. What was it like when you like came out of rehab and you come back home to Brooklyn and it's like you're in a wheelchair in this big city because big cities are always the worst.
Oh man, it's terrible. Like the accessibility. See, you never really think about the accessibility issues when you're an able-bodied individual. You don't think
Mm,
about it at all because you could go anywhere. But society places so much restrictions on wheelchair users that you're like, in this day and age, there's still steps to go into like a regular meeting hall. Like, and that's one of the things that I really was I found to be a little, I wouldn't say discouraging, but it gave me a new sense of how to help individuals because it's like, if I don't speak up about it, then who else will? And things like the train station, New York City was built around the subway system, and the subway system was built over 100 years ago. So it's very difficult when there's only about, I think, 18% of the subway stations are accessible. And out of that 18%, sometimes the elevators are out of service. So it's like, how are we supposed to get around if New York City is built around a subway system? And then, it's just so much expenses as far as transportation goes for individuals with disabilities because a lot of times I have to resort into taking a cab somewhere, or if I don't feel like driving, I actually have a adaptive vehicle with hand control, so it's equipped with hand control. So I'm fortunate enough to get around, but some individuals can't afford a accessible vehicle for them to get around, and because can be quite expensive, they can hike up the course about 10, 20 extra $1,000 just to put a hand control and a ramp into a vehicle, which I feel is totally unfair. So
mm.
it's difficult getting around New York City in a wheelchair, but you have to just adapt and make the best of it.
Yeah, it sounds similar to in London as well. Like the subway with the underground was again built over 100 years ago, and it's just
Yeah,
hardly any of the lifts, even if they are there, aren't working. And
yeah,
yeah, it's not. It's almost like forget about that. You've got to find
yeah.
other ways.
And
Um,
yeah, and I take the escalator sometimes. Like sometimes I'm forced. Like I'll get to a subway station, the elevator won't be working. However, we have like an app that's supposed to tell you when the elevators are working or if they're out of service. But that's not always accurate because sometimes it could go out of service while you're on a train and then you're
mm,
like stuck. So, and when that happens, it was like it got to the point where I got tired of like getting off at the next stop and having to wheel, I don't know, about a mile back down. It could be raining, it could be uphill. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take the escalator. And I started taking the escalator places. And people looking at me like, wow, that's so dangerous. But sometimes you just got to do what you got to do.
mm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. So, and obviously, you were saying as well about moving into like you're doing your powerlifting now, but that's not the first sort of sport as well you've done. Would you want to explain sort of your journey through sport over the years as well?
Okay,
Um,
it's actually a pretty interesting journey because after my injury for the first, I say, about 6 years, I actually worked for the Internal Revenue Service for a little while. And I didn't think about playing sports because I felt that, if I can't play it on a professional level, then there's no purpose of me playing any sports. Until one day I just started going to the gym on just as a stress reliever. And I started just going on a reoccurring basis just about every day. And then this is funny, it's this guy that came up to me. He was a wheelchair football coach named Jason. And he's like, yo, you should play on my wheelchair football team. And I'm like, wheelchair football? That doesn't even make sense. If I fall, I could break an arm. How am I going to get to work? That doesn't. Nah, he's like, just come out, meet the guys. And, we always play like every Sunday. And it's just a good place to connect. So this was about 3 years ago. I went and I actually met the president of the Wheelchair Sports Federation, John Hammer. And from there, like everything took off because John Hammer had the connections to get me on different type of get me into different Paralympic clubs so I could, compete and work on qualifying for different national teams. So the first sport I actually competed in was wheelchair racing. And then from wheelchair racing, I started doing field sports such as shot put, javelin, discus. But my coach realized that I was really strong, so it was like a regional meet, and he's like, "This powerlifting, how much do I weigh?" And I remember telling him, like, "I don't get weighed. I go to the doctor's office. There's no scale there for wheelchair users." So he's like, as a guess, I thought I weighed 140 pounds, but come to find out, I only weighed 120 pounds, and with no training, I was able to lift 250 pounds right then and there. And then it goes into like a ranking system, and I was at the top of the rankings for 120-pound lifters in the United States of America. And from there, the Team USA Para Powerlifting manager got in contact with me and invited me out to a camp. And then from that camp, you have to do it's like instructional. And from that camp, I went to train at Colorado Springs at the Olympic Training Facility. I did that. And I pretty much was able to lift 275 pounds, weighing about 130 pounds in that range. And from there was history. Then I qualified for the team. I actually was supposed to compete at World Championships this past March to qualify for the Paralympic Games, but they canceled it due to the fact of the coronavirus outbreak. So that was a little disappointing because I trained for 4 months. I actually was at my peak, and then 2 days prior to the competition, they canceled it. It was actually being held in Bogota, Colombia. So it was a bit of chaos, but next year is another year to qualify and to go hard. So that's pretty much how I got into para powerlifting. It was just being at the gym, just working out consistently every day, and then people just come into your life.
Yeah, it's amazing. Being somebody who's gone through sort of professional sports background myself, sports can bring amazing things. What sort of things has it brought you? What amazing opportunities have you had because of it?
Well, tons of amazing sponsorships. I got reached out to from Apple. Actually Google. I was a part of the Google Nest campaign due to my powerlifting ability, and they featured me in the Google Nest campaign where we was displaying how Google Nest device helps individuals with disabilities be more independent. So with that said, it was being shown across, I don't know if it was shown over there in Europe, but it was definitely shown in the United States as a coming attraction to movies for, I'd say, about 3 months. Actually, Cole was in it as well. So that was a pretty amazing opportunity, and I'm still in contact with Google. We actually possibly planning on doing something where they will follow me and pretty much feature me for a part 2 of the Google Nest device. So sounds like got some pretty exciting things coming up.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Yeah, it's amazing what sport can bring you. I think a lot of people don't realize that sport is so much more than just competing. There's other opportunities that it brings because of it. And yeah, it's an
Especially
incredible
meeting
thing.
people.
Yeah, meeting people is incredible. You were saying about getting into the communities and that. What was it like going from somebody who, you're the only people you saw in hospital, you said with the younger kids, but then going into a sports team, you meet all sorts of people along your same age range or same sort of ability levels. How was that sort of experience, and did you learn a lot from those people as well?
Oh yeah, I learned. Honestly, that was an amazing experience, especially when I went to the Olympic Training Facility, because that was like the first time I actually had an opportunity to interact with other individuals with disabilities that compete at a high level in their respective sports. And with that said, I met like tons of incredible individuals that, and they told me about like how they excelled in their sports, such as I met a shooter. Can't think of his name right now, but he's an air shooter, and his disability, I think he was a quad, and he's able to use his fingers somewhat. However, it was just interesting how he was able to shoot fire an air rifle. Like it was the most amazing thing. Like he actually showed me how to fire an air rifle, and at that point, I never touched a rifle of any sort before that. So it's like you just learn from other individuals about their hardships and what part of the world they're from and how they're able to adapt. And I think that's the most positive things that I got out of training at the Olympic training facility is that I met a lot of individuals that showed me how they adapted to the world. And you can't those memories are priceless.
Yeah, yeah, definitely is. It's something that it's really important if you're newly injured. It's amazing what you can learn from other people. So it can be like almost like you don't want to. I know some people go through the feeling of not wanting to hang out with other people in wheelchairs, but you learn so much, and it's such a positive experience, especially being part of like a sports team, which is competitive because you're striving towards a common goal, and that collaboration and that togetherness is really important, I feel, for rehab, both physically, learning these new skills, but also mentally as well. So
Exactly. And then it's other people that you could feel comfortable asking questions to. Like we all have different ways of doing things, and like my way of doing things might not be the easiest. So if I'm able to ask someone like per se, how you get in your car, like how do you break down your wheelchair? Do you turn it around to take the wheels off first, or do you take the back piece off first? It's just that opportunity is something that like you can't really get anywhere else unless you interact with other individuals with disabilities, especially if you feel comfortable like as a teammate.
yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. I've learned a lot through when I played wheelchair rugby with other people.
Yeah.
Just learning little bits and pieces, just really good. And I've got to travel and meet other people from other teams around the world as well, and learning from them as well, and having friends all around the world is pretty cool experience. So.
Yeah, because we're all in this together at the end of the day. We're
Exactly.
part of the same demographic. So, that,
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So let's move on to what you do with the Garrison Red project. I was watching your TED Talk to get a little bit more information about it and being on your website as well. So, but yeah, it'd be great to hear from you in terms of if you explain what is it and what was your sort of inspiration behind starting it.
okay, so the Garrison Red Project, we hold inclusive adaptive events. Per se, just to help individuals with disabilities become more sociable amongst able-bodied individuals. So it's an environment where each one can learn from each other due to the fact that the unemployment rate in the disabled community in America has been over 70% for the last 30 years. And I think the reason why is because people are reluctant to ask an individual with disabilities a question like what they can and cannot do. They might feel like it's unethical. And most of the time, we learn mostly from individuals in social settings. So, and what I mean by that is like, if you have an executive that you're playing wheelchair basketball with, and got to think about it from this point of view, we have an adaptive basketball game. We make it inclusive, so able-bodied individuals get to play amongst individuals with disabilities, and they're actually in a wheelchair. So they play in wheelchair basketball. However, that's their teammates. So then they get a more of an understanding of the capabilities that individuals with disabilities have. So then it goes from the individual with disability having, instead of being looked at as someone that's a liability, that executive is going to go back to their company and say, this individual's an asset. He's probably stronger than me. He's probably he probably can adapt way better to any type of environment than I can. So it gives that conversation to increase inclusion within the workforce, because what a lot of people fail to realize is that as a disabled individual, we have a lot of hardships and it's very expensive. So it's kind of hard to live off a government salary of what, $600 a month or whatever the case it is right now. So we do want to work, and that's another thing. Like, people don't understand that we're able to work. We need limited accommodations, and I think now that this pandemic has happened, people are starting to realize that we could work from home. We could do complete the same job tasks because we kind of been isolated for a long period of time anyway. So I think that's what I was in, my initial goal is.
Thing that you started there. And I like the fact that you've gone into sort of like the work sectors kind of it and trying to change the
The
perceptions of
percent.
this. Yeah, because I'm a huge believer in the fact that like the reason it's happening is just because of not having the information there. You know, these people don't have the information to be able to realize that disabled people can be a contributing factor to their company or their community, wherever it might be. And I think what you're doing is great because it just shows people. And it's just like when people see it, then they understand, and then they're not scared of
Exactly.
it, they're not fearful of it, they just accept it for what it is, and it just becomes it's better for everyone.
Yeah, and it becomes normal. Like, it
Mm.
becomes normal, and with that said, it opens the doors for other individuals. So maybe it might be somebody that, comes through the door one day, applied for a job, and they never played any sports or whatever the case might be, but the perception just will be different when that interviewee that came to one of my adaptive events, came to one and participated amongst disabled individuals, their just perceptions is going to be totally different. Their mindset is going to look at them as an asset than a liability. So they're not going to care so much about what accommodations they need because they know that this individual has a skill set that can benefit the company overall.
Yeah, definitely. And you were saying as well in your TED talk about opportunity, and yeah, I couldn't agree more as well with that. Do you want to explain a little bit more about what you were talking about there? I'm
Yeah,
sorry, I don't
so
know how long ago it was. So.
yeah, so with my TED talk is I titled it "Life is like lemonade" because life is going to throw you lemons, and it just takes some sugar, water, and ice to make the lemonade. And one of the ingredients to make lemonade is opportunity. And what I mean by that is that if you just give someone an opportunity, it can impact you in ways you never know. It can impact the individual you gave the opportunity to, and it can impact you as well. And a lot of times people are in this day and age, well, I see changes occurring, but people are reluctant to give an individual with disability an opportunity because they don't know. And the fact that they don't know is takes individuals like what you doing and what I'm doing to spread this awareness, to give people a better understanding on our capabilities. So that way the next person could get an opportunity at succeeding. Another thing is like timeliness. So what I do preach is that everybody be on time for my events due to the fact that the first key to success is being on time. And once individuals see that we could make it there 15 minutes early each and every day and be on time and be at work each and every day, then I feel like more individuals going to receive opportunities to be employed or to do something that they're passionate about, whatever that may be. So opportunity is very important. And, in the disabled community for years, we have been subject to the lack of opportunity. And
Mm.
I feel that's not right. Like, even if you look at it from another aspect, from like movies, it's rare that you see an individual with disability playing a disabled person in a particular movie or seeing them on a billboard. And I think that's totally wrong because we're the largest demographic. 20% of the world is identified itself as being disabled, whether it's physical or invisible. So, with that said, I think that if the world gives us more opportunities, it'll just become a better place for the whole world. Just make things better.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree with you there with if you make it that it's successful for everyone, it actually makes everybody else's life easier as well. Like
Yeah.
having it okay for us guys means that when we're having increasingly aging population, and it means that when you can't quite do some things as well you did before, it's better for you if even if you're not disabled. Like when you get older, it's going to get easier for you as well. So I feel like it's a really important thing, not just if you are disabled, but it can help everybody
And
out.
and that's why I do like modeling, and with modeling I got into like fashion design. So like typically, sometimes I speak with different designers from major companies. Like I spoke to Joseph Abad, representatives from Tom Ford, just about making clothing adaptive and accessible for everyone. Instead of putting buttons, maybe you could put magnets, which is most of the time concealable, where people won't even know it's a magnet that's holding the shirt together. However, it makes it easier for everyone to get dressed. And at the end of the day, we all want to feel comfortable in whatever attire that we're wearing. And it just increases individuals' independence. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. Like, independence is very, very important to a person's self confidence and self esteem at the end of the day. So, that's one of the goals I have in the near future, is trying to work on getting accessible and adaptive clothing into more stores, and just speaking about how they could make different venues more accessible for everyone. And people are living longer as well, so
Hmm.
like you said, with the aging population, it's going to be more individuals with disabilities. So why we just don't level the platform?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You were saying there about what you plan to. What's your goals with the project, and where would you like to see it go over the years?
Well, with my goals currently, I want a chapter in every major city in the world. That way, it can really spread awareness, make more individuals more independent in this world. Also, increase the inclusion. Um, I have such big goals for the Garrison Red Project, because at the end of the day, like, I like touching people's lives, and I like giving people an opportunity to showcase their abilities. And I think, as I already seen, there's tons of individuals that I had an impact on through the Garrison Red Project, even if they came out to like an adaptive yoga event or any type of adaptive fitness event that I held. And I see, like, it improves their health, it improves their self-esteem, and it improves their self-confidence, which those are things that you can't, like, those are priceless things. Like, there's no type of reward when you notice someone being more active and being more healthy, and that ordinarily would have just been at home. So I like seeing that, and I wanted to grow and be in pretty much a chapter in every major city, even smaller cities. But I think that's the start, to get in every major city, a different chapter.
Yeah, that sounds like an awesome goal to go towards, and I wish you all the best in it as well. Yeah, because
Thank you. I appreciate that.
from the energy you give off, you seem like they're definitely the right person to be doing it. So yeah,
Yeah. And it's funny because I was working at the IRS for 6 years, and then one day I just had an epiphany, like, I'm way too cool for this. I need to be doing something where I can have an impact on the world, and I just quit my job. Like, I think it was on a Monday, and I was going by Wednesday. And like, I remember my boss was like, you got to put in like a 2 weeks notice. I'm like, I don't have 2 weeks. I have 2 days. In 2 days, this is it. Like, and I just felt like it was like my calling. And from there, I just started getting involved in just tons of things, like anything I wanted to do. I just started living my life fearlessly, because became comfortable with being uncomfortable. So like,
mm.
I just said, let me do this. I wanted to dance. I said, you know what? Let me become a dancer. Why not? What's the worst that gonna happen? I'd be terrible.
Yeah, it's a good attitude you have. You were saying about your mum saying like no one's going to give a damn about you anyway, and
Exactly.
we were talking about it on a previous show. It's like when you start to realize that people are too busy with their lives to even care about you, it's actually quite a freeing experience.
It is.
It's
It is.
yeah, it's quite, and then you feel like you can just do anything. When you feel like people don't care about you, it's like, oh, actually, this is great. It
And that's
sounds
the cool thing. Living in New York City, like, you could be going down the street. Most of the time when I'm going into a store, I have to open the door myself. Nobody's holding the door for me. Like, people just don't care that much about you. And that's like you said, it's a freeing experience, just to know that I'm not that important. But I'm important to myself, but I'm not
yeah.
that important. So
And also you're talking about a little bit about health and fitness. What sort of things, obviously you're competing as an athlete now, but over the years now, what sort of things have you done in terms of the health and fitness for yourself and obviously through the project as well? What sort of stuff do you try and promote?
Oh, I definitely try to promote, proper diet. That's one thing, proper diet. Because a lot of times individuals, and I'm speaking on just not all individual disabilities need to practice a proper diet, but especially individuals with spinal cord injuries. The reason why you got to practice a proper diet is because there's a whole lot of other ailments and issues that can develop after you have a spinal cord injury. I'm sure and what I've noticed is once you become a little more physically active and you monitor what you eat, stay away from the junk food and things of that nature, your overall well-being, you just feel better about yourself. You have more energy. You're able to do more stuff. And also, you always want to avoid, heart disease is on a rise each and every day. And then, just tons of, and then physical. You don't want to look you want to look in shape also. You want to look healthy. You want to look good about yourself and feel good about yourself. So that's when I started, promoting my workouts as well, just how to do seated workouts. And it's not nothing too extensive where you cannot do it. You could do a few dumbbell curls each day. I got an arm ergonometer that I use on a daily basis. It's just little things just to work up a sweat in order for you to just be more physically active, which a lot of individuals, they typically, when they're initially injured, they feel as if they can't go back to the gym or they shouldn't be at the gym. And I understand it can be a little frightening at first going to the gym using a wheelchair. However, because and this is another thing that has to change. A lot of gyms aren't really accessible for individuals with disabilities. So it can be a bit difficult, especially if you're going independently by yourself. There's a lot of machinery that you may want to use, but it might be difficult to transfer onto. However, building upper body strength, however you do it, is only going to benefit you. And I felt that once I started doing more and more, becoming more and more active as far as being physically fit, it helped me tremendously because I started getting urinary tract infections, things like that people don't think about that can come from sitting all day, and skin abrasions. Thank God I never had a skin breakdown or anything of that nature, and I think that's because I move around so much. So these are the things that I try to promote to other individuals. That way they can be the best version of themselves.
Hmm. And you were saying there about diet. Obviously, you live in a city that is famous for the variety of fast food and the massive variety of it as well. What's your sort of diet like, and what do you try and focus on, or what's your diet like?
Well, being a part of Team USA, we have a dietitian. Recently, and plus I have a trainer, a strength coach that's very big on promoting the diet because I got to stay within a weight class. So with that said, my diet, I pretty much prepare all my foods these days. I stay away from fast food as much as possible. I couldn't tell you the last time I had a burger from McDonald's, which I do miss because that was one of my favorite things back in the day. But yeah, I try to prepare most of my food. I try to eat a balanced diet. I follow the food pyramid. But due to the fact that I powerlift, I do tend to eat a little more protein than the average person. That's due to I need more recovery, which protein helps tremendously with my recovery. Also, another thing is, I don't eat as much carbs on days that I don't train. So these are little things that anybody can do. However, I think if you just follow the food pyramid, eat a balanced diet, the average person will be fine, wheelchair or able-bodied. So
Yeah. Diet is so important, and staying away from the fast foods definitely helps. But I always try, because it's interesting hearing from yourself, and I had Lauren on yesterday. It's from the diet perspective. It feels like people that aren't, don't have that sort of program, or that they think there's sort of a magic system to it, but it's just the basics. It's just
it really is.
It's just eating whole foods where you can, and just making sure you get enough calories in, and then the rest of it is just specific to whatever sport you're doing in terms of you guys. So there's no magic thing.
There's no magic thing, honestly. If you want to gain weight, you eat in the calorie surplus. If you want to lose weight, you eat a calorie deficit. It's like simply that simple. Like,
Yeah.
but it can be difficult to follow though at times. I'm not
Yeah, definitely.
because like sometimes I go off my program a little. You got to have a treat meal here and there. So every so
Mm,
often I'll treat myself to maybe one donut, but I don't overindulge. I won't have
mm.
five donuts at one time and things of that nature. So it's all about, just being following the simple basics. Eat a balanced diet, eat your vegetables, eat your fruits, and that's pretty much it. Like it's not much to it.
And how is your like regular week look in terms of your actual training itself? So obviously you're doing the strength program. What does it look like in terms of the amount of training you're doing, how many times a week you're doing it?
Okay, so I pretty much work out 6 days a week, but due to my sport, powerlifting, I strength train 3 days out the week specifically on the bench press movement. So one day I have a heavy bench session where I typically lift about 90% of my maximum effort. So that's usually around the 275 range. I will do a couple of singles there, so about five sets of 1 rep, or it could be 6 sets of 2 reps, depending on what I'm programmed for the day. We use the conjugate method. So we also do different variations of the bench press movement. And what I mean by that is some days I do spoto presses. Some days I bench press close grip. Some days I bench press with bands. Some days I bench press with chains. And these are real advanced movements as well. So I don't recommend anybody to do it without a coach or without proper guidance. Also, I do like, seal rows, lat pull downs, pretty heavy for the most part because that's how you build strength. What a lot of people don't know, if they want to increase their bench press, they have to build a stronger back. Typically, people think it's just a chest movement, but when it's actually a back movement because you need that solid foundation to push the weight off. Then I do some heavy tries, like I do a lot of dumbbell curls, as you can see. I do some tricep extensions, skull crushers. I have a pretty intense program, but each day the percentage change. So like, for instance, Sunday would be my heavy day, Tuesday would be my light day, and Thursday is actually a speed day. So with a speed day, it'll be a high volume. So I probably will do about 8 sets, about 6 reps at around 50% of my maximum effort with a 15-second break in between. So it's less recovery time. So that's how you build strength as well. And a lot of times what people don't understand, like with building strength also, is that you have to go lighter. You can't go heavy all the time because you just will wear yourself out. Your body is very complex. So what I mean by that is that it kind of adapts. So if you keep going heavy, you're pretty much not going to gain strength the way you expect it to. And strength is not like a straight up graph. It's not linear. It's up and down. So like today I might be able to bench 300 pounds, but I can't get discouraged if I try it again next week and I only bench 290 pounds because of the fact that that's just how strength works. So you need the proper recovery time. Another thing is your diet has to be on point, but you have to sleep. So recovery, a big part of recovery is how much hours do you sleep a day. And a lot of times people don't get an adequate amount of sleep just because they live their daily lives. So what I try to do is get at least 7 hours of sleep at night and probably like a 1 hour to 2 hour power nap just somewhere in the middle of the day. That way I can have enough recovery so I'll be able to perform at my highest level.
Yeah, it sounds like a pretty intense program, and I'm sure there's some people out there that are interested in it as much as I am. Because being a personal trainer, it's like, oh, I'm really interested in how people do it in different sports and that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's some other people that have found that fascinating as well. So yeah, thank you for sharing all that information with your diet and your workout. It's cool to see. Do you do anything else in terms of sort of mobility work? You said you do some like adaptive yoga courses through the project. Do you do any of that stuff yourself?
Yeah, well, like certain days of the week, I do cycling. I still do cycling. So once the weather is, adequate, where in 'cause New York City, the weather is so incremental. Some days it could be snowing, some days it could be 90 degrees, and it could be all in the same week. However, when the weather, like once the spring comes around and when the weather permits itself, I try to do some cycling, just to keep my shoulder muscles, activated. Because it's like with heavy lifting, it's a lot of wear and tear on like your rotator cuffs, which is our push muscles, and it often gets tight. So with that said, I try to do, cycling just to loosen the rotator cuffs up and keep them healthy, as well as stretching. I do a lot of stretching. Actually, with dance, that's why I got involved in dance, because dance helps with your mobility tremendously. So I dance for a company called Heidi Latsky Dance, where we do a lot of mobility training in order to contort our bodies into certain dance positions that we need to be in. And that's really helped me with my performance as well, because it just loosens up like some of the tissue muscles that I typically don't use, or that's extremely tight from overlifting. So that's one of the main things why I like to do dance, because that's another way of increasing my mobility.
Yeah, yeah, it's a really good way. And if you find a way that you can do your mobility and enjoy at the same time, it's a positive.
Exactly.
Yeah. So before I'm going to ask about what you're adapting now, but I'm going to say as well in the chat, if anybody's got any more questions, pop them in the comments there, and we'll get around to it. Obviously, at the moment, there's a huge worldwide event that's going on that's causing everybody to change what they're doing. For you, obviously, the Paralympics is now in a year later, but how else is it sort of, in that sort of regards, and how else is it affecting your life at the moment?
Well, being that I live in New York City, I have quite a few acquaintances of mine that is or were infected by the disease. Actually, my mom's cousin just passed away from the disease,
I'm sorry to hear.
COVID-19. Thanks, man. But yeah, it's like everything's on standstill as far as everything. Like I do motivational speaking, and like right now, there's no speaking gigs out there due to the fact that there's this COVID-19 like pretty much shut down all universities and all large gatherings altogether. So that's one way it's affected me so far. Another way is just that it's hard for me to like get out. I'm a very sociable outdoor type of person, and me being in my house, I'm just going crazy. But luckily, I'm finding things to do to keep me occupied. But other than that, like I just keep, working towards, trying to impact people on a digital level now because of the fact that I can't really get out. So, I mean, it's affecting me all the way around. However, I'm making the best of it. And I know and I do understand the importance of quarantining and staying in the house because of the fact that we could get like a trait or whatever. Might not have symptoms, but we could pass it on to other individuals. And that's the most terrifying thing when you're like asymptomatic and you're carrying the virus.
Yeah, it must be quite bizarre living in a city that's usually just constant busyness all the time, and
All
then
this,
now it's not. It's just,
yeah, like Times Square. I saw a picture of Times Square the other day, and it's like deserted. It's kind of eerie, actually. Like it feels like I'm in a movie, like a horror movie, because
yeah,
you go outside, like to the supermarket, everybody have their mask and gloves on, and that's like the only place that's occupied. Other than that, the streets are clear, and it's like crazy. And I would never in a million years think New York City could feel the way it currently feels, where it's no congestion, no taxi cabs, and things of that nature that you accustomed to seeing every day. And another thing is like I'm accustomed to hearing noise, and right now it's like a suburban town. It's no noise, you don't hear anything, it's just completely quiet, and it's like it's pretty scary how quickly things changed, and like this is actually becoming a new norm. Like I wake up some days expecting to hear a siren, like an ambulance or a fire truck, and I hear birds chirping.
yeah, it's crazy situation. For me, where I don't live in a particularly busy place. I mean, I live near the town centre where I live. It's not massively busy. So day-to-day life hasn't changed in terms of when I'm looking outside of where I am. But if I need to go to the supermarket, getting the car and drive, it's just like there's no cars on the road. There's
Yeah, it's
you might
weird.
see, yeah, the only one you'll see is like a police car or an ambulance. It's like, oh, this is this is really
Yes,
weird.
it's really weird, and it's crazy. We're about what 5 hours away, and it's the same across the world.
Yeah,
That's the crazy thing too. Like everywhere is pretty much ghost town right now. Everything is shut down, and
yeah.
hopefully by the summertime, life can be somewhat back to normal. I'm just gonna think positive and optimistically.
Hmm.
However, yeah, it's a crazy feeling, and I'm not used to this. I don't know if I can ever get used to this.
All right. Again, I'll ask if there's any more questions. Garrison, is there anything else that you would like to talk about today? Or
Yeah, no, I think we covered everything, like all the important keys and everything. Only other thing I would like everybody to, like I said, practice your social distancing, stay healthy because that's really important. What frustrates you about not being able to train? Oh, the thing that frustrates me most about not being able to train in the gym is like when I'm in the gym training with my strength coach, I have a spotter. So it's like, it's just a different atmosphere where I'm not afraid of failing. I can't go as heavy as I would like in my particular home, that's where I'm currently training at, because of the fact that I don't have a spotter and things of that nature. So, like, there's no cause for error.
yeah,
Every lift have to be perfect. So that's one of the main things that frustrates me about not being able to gym and not being around people. Like I get motivated by being around other individuals. I have people to chat with and things of that nature. Oh, a spotter is someone that actually helps you lift the bar off the rack. Um, it's very much needed when you lifting heavy, just for safety reasons. They're gonna make sure that it doesn't fall on your chest or and things of that nature, because sometimes you do make mistakes or you do fail. So you would
yeah.
like to have someone around when that happens, so it don't become too dangerous.
Yeah, that's the same for me with the social aspect of it. Like I've got everything I need here to do the gym stuff, but I still go to the gym regularly, in the normal situation because I love hanging out with the
People.
people there. Yeah,
Yeah.
the personal trainers that are working there, and I'm just chatting to them in between sets, and just it's something that me and my girlfriend do together as well. So it's nice to get out of the house and just do something away from home because we both work from home. So being able to get out and do that, and
Exactly.
they've got a sauna and a steam room, so we sit in there for 20 minutes after our workouts and just chill out. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's how my girlfriend and I is as well too. Like we'll be in the house for most of the time, and then like the gym is actually like my like man cave. So when I'm getting on her nerves, I could just go to the gym and leave her alone, and I go to the gym and socialize with the people. So sometimes
uh,
I just gotta get away.
yeah, exactly. It is important, having that sort of away space that is, you just go there, you do your gym stuff, and then you come home. It's not used for anything else. It's just that. So yeah, it's fun.
Yeah,
And
no
somebody else said
rest.
about getting into sports as well. So what sort of advice would you give to someone who's looking to get into sports? You can talk about both about like
Yeah.
where to go and sort of your mental preparation as well. So
Well, what I definitely would do is if I'm a disabled individual that would like to get into sports, the first thing I would do, find some type of there's a lot of different like clubs and Paralympic clubs that you could, join, and they'll definitely be you'll receive pretty good coaching. I'm sure anybody that's doing it is usually passionate about what they're doing. Um, and try every sport. That's what I would tell a newly injured person or any individual with disability. Try every sport because you don't know what sport you may be great at and what sport you can excel in. Like archery, that's another sport that people typically don't come first to mind. Like I want to be an archer or whatever the case may be, but that's a Paralympic sport as well. You could win a gold medal just like any other Paralympic sport. And, that's something, there's millions of sports out there that's worth well in trying. And you just got to try and find out what you like. And depending on your ability level, you could be the next world champion or the next Paralympic champion. You just got to try everything.
and even if you don't get to be the Paralympic champion, the journey to get there will be amazing, and
And the
the
people that
opportunity.
you'll meet.
Yeah, exactly. You'll meet amazing people. You'll do amazing things, and yeah, success it comes in many different forms. Sometimes that's just being happy and content with enjoying the thing you're enjoying. So yeah, just go for it anyway. You won't regret it.
Yeah, that's how I feel as well. So, yep, just try it out.
Awesome. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap up today. Thank you so much, Garrison, for joining me.
Thanks, Ben.
If
I appreciate it.
No worries. If anybody wants to find out more about you, where should they go?
Go to at Garrison Red on Instagram, the GarrisonRedProject.org. You could Google me. I come right up. Garrison Red. Facebook, Garrison Red. I'm very easy to find. Everything is my name.
That's it. Yeah, that does definitely help. And I'll put that in the. So this will be uploaded to YouTube later. So I'll put it in all the links in the description down below, so people can just find it there.
Okay, you still there? Yeah.
You hear me
All
all right?
right, man. Yeah, I can hear you. You good?
Hello.
Yep, I'm here.
Yeah, I can hear you again now. All right. So,
Okay.
sorry about that, everyone. Yeah, so the quarantine zone comes here every single day at 6 p.m. British summertime, apart from Mondays and Thursdays, so I can have a little bit of a rest. Tomorrow, I've got Sophie. She is a Team GB wheelchair basketball player, and I believe they got silver at the last Olympics. So, yeah, so it'd be awesome to talk to her tomorrow. So make sure you join back in for that. Again, thank you to Garrison for joining in, and thank you all for watching. See you later,
All
guys.
right, Ben, have a good one. Everybody
Bye.
take care. Thank you for watching.
All right, stay safe.
All right, same to you, bro.